After the battle, everyone gathers around Rick, praising his heroic efforts. Angelica approaches him, her expression a mix of gratitude and determination. "Rick, I can't thank you enough," she says sincerely. "But I realize now how much further I have to go. You've inspired me. Mark my words, in 1 year, I'll reach your level, and maybe even surpass you." Rick smiles modestly. "I'll be looking forward to that day," he replies. The camaraderie between them is palpable, and it's clear that their friendly rivalry will push them both to greater heights. Meanwhile, Snap, who had been watching the events unfold, reflects on his own feelings. He admits to Angelica, "Part of me wanted Geese to experience defeat. Maybe it's selfish, but seeing him brought down a peg feels right." However, he also acknowledges the consequences of Geese's loss. "The worst part is, I won't be able to make you my wife anymore," he says with a hint of sadness. Angelica responds thoughtfully, "Our engagement was contingent on the contract money, which you won't be able to gather now. It's unfortunate, but perhaps it's for the best." Snap nods in agreement, realizing that his aspirations of marrying into nobility are over. Despite this setback, he feels a strange sense of relief and contentment. The scene shifts to the preparations for the semifinals. The commentator's voice booms over the loudspeakers, announcing the upcoming match between Kelvin Wolf and Bronson. Kelvin, the reigning champion, stands confidently in the arena. The crowd's excitement is palpable as they chant his name. Bronson, his challenger, exudes a quiet strength, his gaze steady and unflinching. Kelvin observes Bronson, noting his formidable presence. "He's standing so straight, without any openings," Kelvin thinks to himself. "This won't be an easy fight." As the match begins, Kelvin attacks with incredible speed, launching a series of rapid strikes. However, Bronson remains unfazed, effortlessly dodging and blocking each move. He counters with powerful punches, forcing Kelvin to stay on the defensive. Backstage, Angelica and the others watch intently. "Kelvin's techniques are impressive," Angelica remarks. "But Bronson is something else entirely." Tarek nods in agreement. "Bronson's strength is on a different level. This could be a close match." Just as the battle intensifies, chaos erupts. Geese, having recovered from his earlier defeat, storms into the arena in a frenzied state. His transformation has left him unstable, and he begins attacking the audience indiscriminately. Panic spreads as people scramble to avoid his rampage. Snap reacts quickly. "He's lost control after his transformation," he says urgently. "We need to stop him before anyone gets seriously hurt." Kelvin, noticing the commotion, is visibly annoyed. "Geese, what do you think you're doing interrupting my match?" he shouts. Geese turns his wild eyes toward Kelvin and lunges at him. Without missing a beat, Kelvin intercepts Geese's attack. In a display of sheer strength, he defeats Geese with a single, well-placed punch. The crowd is stunned. Angelica gasps. "I can't believe it! He took down Geese in one hit." Tarek adds, "When I fought Geese, I sensed he was as strong as an A-rank adventurer. For Kelvin to defeat him so easily, could he be at S-rank level?" The realization sends a ripple of awe through the onlookers. Due to the unexpected incident and the injuries sustained by audience members, the tournament organizers decide to postpone the match until the next day. Kelvin seems disappointed. "Just when things were getting interesting," he mutters. Later that evening, the group gathers at a local restaurant to discuss the day's events. Midget, one of their companions, brings up their primary objective. "Our goal is to acquire the magic crystal," he reminds everyone. "So regardless of today's disruptions, we need to stay focused." Alice chimes in. "Exactly. As long as either Bronson or Rick wins their matches, we'll be on track." Angelica, however, is curious about Rick's whereabouts. "Has anyone seen Rick?" she asks. Renette replies, "He went jogging to Clarist." Angelica is surprised. "But that's 350 kilometers away." She shakes her head with a smile. "I shouldn't be surprised anymore." Meanwhile, Rick is indeed running toward Clarist, using the journey as part of his intense training regimen. As he approaches a mountainous area near the border, he hears the sound of someone training vigorously. Intrigued, he investigates and discovers Kelvin practicing his techniques in solitude. "Kelvin?" Rick calls out. Kelvin pauses, turning to see Rick approaching. "Rick! Didn't expect to see you here," he responds. Rick smiles. "I could say the same. Mind if I join you?" Kelvin shrugs. "Suit yourself." The two begin to spar, their movements fluid and precise. As they train, they engage in conversation, sharing insights about their fighting styles and motivations. Kelvin opens up about his past. "I grew up in the slums," he begins. "Fighting was all I knew, a way to survive and entertain myself. Eventually, I became too strong, and people stopped wanting to fight me. Winning tournaments became meaningless when every match ended in a single blow." Rick listens attentively as Kelvin continues. "To keep the audience entertained and help the gym prosper, I started holding back. I even lost matches on purpose. It wasn't about winning anymore, it was about putting on a good show." Rick nods thoughtfully. "I understand the weight of expectations," he says. "But don't you think it's time you fought for yourself, without holding back?" Kelvin considers this. "Perhaps you're right. Facing someone like Bronson, maybe I can finally unleash my true potential." The next day arrives, and the atmosphere in the arena is electric. The commentator announces heightened security measures, including protective magic barriers to ensure the audience's safety. "Ladies and gentlemen, today's match will be one for the history books," she proclaims. Kelvin and Bronson take their positions. There's a palpable tension between them, a mutual respect and an unspoken agreement to give it their all. As the match begins, Kelvin decides to fight without restraint. He launches into a powerful assault, using techniques he had previously kept hidden. His fists become blurs as he channels his energy into each strike. Bronson meets him head-on, matching his intensity. The two exchange blows that shake the arena, either willing to concede. Spectators watch in awe as Kelvin utilizes advanced magic, including earth and fire spells, weaving them seamlessly into his combat style. Angelica and the others are astonished. "I had no idea Kelvin could use such high-level magic," she exclaims. Tarek adds, "He's been holding back all this time. This is his true strength." Despite Kelvin's formidable attacks, Bronson remains steadfast. He acknowledges Kelvin's skill. "You've been hiding your abilities," he says between strikes. "But so have I." Bronson then unleashes his own advanced techniques, pushing Kelvin even further. The battle escalates, with both fighters tapping into reserves they hadn't known they possessed. The arena becomes a whirlwind of elemental magic and martial prowess. As the fight reaches its climax, Kelvin begins to tire. His stamina wanes, and he realizes that Bronson has been pushing him to his absolute limits. In a moment of clarity, Kelvin understands that winning isn't everything. The joy of facing a worthy opponent reignites his passion for combat. With a final surge of determination, he gathers his remaining energy for one last attack. "This is it," he declares. He charges at Bronson, who braces himself. The collision results in a massive explosion of energy, temporarily blinding the audience. As the dust settles, both fighters stand on shaky legs. Kelvin smiles, acknowledging his opponent's strength. "That was incredible," he admits. Bronson nods. "You fought well. It's been an honor." In the end, Kelvin collapses from exhaustion, and Bronson is declared the winner. The crowd erupts into applause, not just for the victor but for the breathtaking display of skill and sportsmanship from both warriors. Episode 10 of the Ossan Newbie Adventurer is a thrilling installment that delves deep into the characters' motivations and the essence of true strength. The intense battles are not just physical contests, but also metaphorical journeys of self-discovery. As friendships deepen and rivalries intensify, the episode sets the groundwork for the adventures to come, leaving viewers eagerly anticipating what lies ahead.